putting the lens on Grenada, its people and its possibilities. This is State of Affairs. Reporting this week, I am Tahira Natalie Carter. In this week's show, Juvenile Justice, a new era is about to unfold in how young offenders are dealt with. Also, Amigos para siempre, friends forever. Cuba and Grenada grow from strength to strength after more than 3 decades. And superwoman in Guab, Stella Smith, refuses to quit after losing her home to a fire following the loss of her grandchildren. Janelle Grant Hamlet, Raul Titus and Abigail McIntyre all report from the Grenada heartland when we come back. Welcome back. Grenada's prison population is on the rise, and that's a major problem. However, of equal concern is the fact that many of the inmates arriving at Her Majesty's prison are young offenders. This has been a lingering issue since it is widely felt that time spent at Richmond Hill does not necessarily help the rehabilitation of young offenders. All this is about to change, however, as the new administration presses ahead full speed to revamp the country's juvenile justice system. Janelle Grant Hamlet tells a story that involves a place exclusively for young offenders, set to open before the year's end.
I'm sitting in my cell, I'm lonely like hell, I'm looking through the rain.
He was a popular entertainer answering to the sobriquet of Little Nicky, who went to jail for murdering his brother. Today, he is a free man, but knows all too well the torture of prison life for young people.
I have seen persons gone crazy in prison. I've seen persons actually hung themselves in prison, take their own lives. And so now I'm talking about adults, you understand? So you can just have an imagination of what it will do to the younger ones.
Every year, persons under the age of 18 are in prison for crimes ranging from assault and stealing to possession of controlled drug substances. Those offenses are all punishable by law. But an issue of contention has always been teenagers serving time at Her Majesty's prison in Richmond Hill alongside hardened criminals. A new way of tackling this problem has arrived with the passing of Grenada's Juvenile Justice Act No. 24 of 2012. Although this act is still awaiting implementation, there are many social benefits, including a fully operational juvenile rehabilitation center.
The new Juvenile Justice Act is welcomed in that regard because it has raised the age of criminal responsibility, and it has also put many more measures in place that are child-friendly and age-appropriate.
Under construction in Bacolet St. Andrew, the Rehabilitation Center will be a better facility to help young offenders compared to the Richmond Hill prison.
It is intended to provide counseling and rehabilitation for young offenders. Also, there will be some level of skill training in various fields so that when they leave the facility, they can actually find a job, be it in the private sector or probably, depending on the age, to eventually lead to opening their own businesses. So to get them basically gainfully employed at the end of the day.
The new facility under construction is part of the USAID OECS Juvenile Justice Reform Project the Keith Mitchell government plans to use to usher in a new era for Grenada's juvenile justice system.
What we had before is violated against the right of the child by placing them in the prison as adult. What the juvenile center will do is to ensure that you have a place where you can use to rehabilitate. So it's not a prison, but it's a rehabilitation center aimed at treatment and rehabilitating and even empowering our young people who are in conflict with the laws, vulnerable young people who are on the street and just need some guidance. We will be using that as a treatment center and a rehabilitation center for them.
Proponents say the new rehabilitation center must be equipped with specialized staff trained in particular to work with young offenders.
Trained personnel. I mean, it's not a warehousing process. You take them and dump them. And we have been advocating and we have been saying that a lot of training must be put into the human resource. It must be carefully sought out because we're seeking for change.
I think it is very important that the people who are positioned to see after such juveniles when the establishment actually get going should be persons who are well qualified, trained, persons who would have been in similar situations and have actually won their battles.
Training is critical, that they will have to undergo specialized training, that the staff will have to come first of all to the post with a certain degree of qualifications and experience, and then undergo on-the-job training as well.
The population count at the Richmond Hill Prison is on the rise, and there is a mounting concern that a large number of inmates are young offenders. This alternative to formal incarceration not only offers young offenders an opportunity to make an about turn in life, it also helps alleviate the issue of overcrowding in Her Majesty's prison.
The jail, for instance, accommodates comfortable 150 inmates. Right now we have 520, and nobody seems to care. And the cost to government at the same time. And out of that 500, I can tell you that there are about at least 200 on some minor, little, I'd call it nonsense, and you put them in jail for that.
The youth facility is seen as playing an important role in tackling youth problems in society. But law enforcement officials point to ways outside the legal system that can help curb delinquent behaviors in minors.
The home is the foundation, where you lay the foundation. The home is where you teach children to respect authority. And also parents must show respect for their home and cause children to understand the importance of having respect for home, respect for people, and respect for authority.
Prior to the 2012 Juvenile Justice Act, youngsters who committed gross crimes faced the full consequences of their actions in prison. Teron Etienne is a past offender.
Them get a better opportunity than me, because if I had that opportunity, I'd have tried to make full use of it. You understand? Change around my life and come back out here and make a better person. You understand? So I feel they should take full charge and, take full use of it and make the best of it.
Government wants the Bacolet Rehabilitation Center to open in the last quarter of 2014. And hope for young offenders will rise as the curtains come down on the construction phase.
It's our goal, it's our dream, and we're really looking forward to see that happen as soon as possible. We are getting the backing from international organizations and agencies as it relates to grants, technical assistance and other assistance, and we are using every opportunity we have out in the international region to look for assistance to help with the whole issue of juvenile justice.
In just a few months, the building right behind me will be completed, and with it will dawn a new day for youth rehabilitation in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique.
Celebrations have just ended, marking 35 years of diplomatic relations between Grenada and Cuba. The two countries continue to forge strong ties despite some challenging periods in which the relationship was tested. Still, against a crippling and unpopular U.S. embargo, Cuba's assistance has resonated throughout Grenada for more than 3 decades. Raul Titus reports on the highs and lows and the risky sojourn by a new prime minister that brought Cuba back to the Caribbean fold.
The Maurice Bishop-led revolution that toppled Eric Gairy from power had collapsed. The United States invasion had taken place and an icy period had emerged in which Caribbean leaders backed away from Fidel Castro's Cuba, fearing U.S. backlash. Only 2 years in, as Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Mitchell decided to embark on an historic and gutsy move.
It was a bold move. And despite the fact that I would have had my own qualms about several things that existed, when he made that move, I supported him.
And that actually set the stage for the breaking of the isolation of Cuba in the Caribbean.
The visit of the Prime Minister Michel, we reinitiate all the relations in the Caribbean.
And I think it was really a brilliant, a visionary move by Prime Minister Keith Mitchell to again renew communication and diplomatic ties with Cuba.
That he brought Fidelity Grenada, but also restored the high-level relations between Grenada and Cuba. And I think that was a bold move on his part.
But it was felt after a time we came into government in '95 that there was need to improve that relationship in the interest of CARICOM and Cuba, because it was felt that despite the misunderstanding over what occurred in Grenada, because clearly there were misunderstandings, that Cuba had played an enormous role in the development of the region.
Grenada and Cuba established diplomatic relations on April 14, 1979. Since that time, more than 300 Grenadian students have graduated in Cuban universities, and currently more than 60 are studying in Cuba. Between 2008 and 2009, 1,654 Grenadians benefited from eye surgery under the Miracle Operation Program, and more than 400 graduated under the illiteracy program. Cuban assistance is felt throughout the island, from agriculture and construction to health and sports.
From my point of view, leaders of this small, tiny island, which is Maurice Pichot. Maurice Pichot, he had a great relation with our commander-in-chief, Fidel Castro. Yeah. They were both very close together.
We have historical relations, very good relations, and I think that we had developed a good relation during those years, and they are still growing, and we are both, our countries are friends country. I think that we can qualify that the bilateral relations and historic and important.
It is mutually benefit, but in different aspects of support. Okay. And I think that relationship has benefited Grenada tremendously.
Both sides of the fence. Cuba has benefited enormously because we have certainly supported Cuba in many of our issues regionally and internationally. And we have made it very clear that some of the